All right, Coach. Well, thanks so much for taking the time and talking with me. And I guess we'll start with you being a new Kansas Sports Hall of Famer. Obviously, a big honor, and a lot of great names in the state of Kansas have been inducted, and you're one of 12 in this year's class. And when did you get the call? What was that phone call like? And did you ever maybe expect something like that to happen?
Yeah, I got the call a few weeks ago. It was from Jim Dunning, and I wasn't expecting it. And so it was a pleasant surprise for sure. And I didn't know how all the criteria worked. I didn't even know if I was eligible. Didn't know if I was good enough. All that stuff. So it was great, and I was able to call my wife, tell her about it right after. I kind of kept it quiet for a while, and then before it hit the media, I let people know. But yeah, it's great, and I have so much love for the state of Kansas. Growing up there and playing at Hayden, playing at KU, and coaching at Wichita State, it's a great honor to go into this Hall of Fame.
And to be that Kansas kid, right? Like you said, he went to Hayden and KU. So, you bleed the Sunflower State, you bleed so many different colors. And so, when you look back at your time, here in the state of Kansas, just what comes to mind? What are some of those things that, you remember from your high school days in college and, all those things in between?
Well, I was very lucky. I always surrounded myself with great people. So whether I was born into a great family, um, my grade school friends, great competitive group of guys, and we won a lot of games together. And then went to Hayden and had Coach Meskey, a great coach, Coach Tall, and then just had great teammates. And so that was fun. And what we did there, going 25-0, being the first city team to go undefeated, and we had quite a following back in the day, and it was fun. It was a lot of fun, and we still live in those glory days when we get together and talk about it. And then I was lucky enough to go to Kansas and play for Larry Brown, one of the greatest coaches ever, and be surrounded by great players. And it was fun. It was a lot of fun. Then Roy Williams comes on board and worked for him, and go to a couple more Final Fours, and it was just a great experience. And then to get lucky and be the head coach at Wichita State, and wasn't in great shape when we got there, and we built it up, and it was really fun for my wife and I to be in Wichita. We had Wichita State fans, the Shocker fans. We also had KU fans, and we met a lot of K-State people that were friends of ours, and so we were in a really good situation. So uh, you know, a lot of great years, a lot of great memories, and the state was obviously very good to me and my family.
And when you look back at, again, just all those certain things, and now to just call yourself a Kansas Sports Hall of Famer, has it maybe sunk in yet? Have you thought about that your name's going to be in those history books forever now?
Well, it's funny. I haven't thought a lot about it. I've been busy, but as it gets closer, I'm sure I'll start to reminisce, and hopefully I'll have a lot of former teammates there and friends and family there that night. So it's hopefully it's going to be a special weekend that way. I haven't even got to that point yet where I've started inviting people and asking for more tickets and all that kind of thing, but I'll get there. And it is a great honor. It's you don't get into playing basketball and coaching to be in the Kansas Sports Hall of Fame. You just do it, and then when it happens, it's a really cool honor. And actually, my 1983 state championship team is already in the Kansas Hall of Fame. They put us in the next year because we were the first undefeated team in Topeka. So I was in there a long time ago with my team, and now going in there as an individual, it's really cool.
Coach, and as well, you mentioned, Larry Brown. You played for him and then under Roy Williams, and what having two very big names like that, and yourself being a coach at Maryland, and what were some of those things that you learned at your time at KU to help you prepare to be that coach that again at Wichita State and of course Maryland. What were some of those things that you learned from both of those coaches?
Well, with Coach Brown, after my freshman year, we sat down and he asked me what I wanted to do. And I just set the assist record at KU as a freshman. I thought I was pretty special. And he goes, "What do you want to do?" And I said, "I'm going to go to the NBA." And he says, "No, you're not. You got no chance." He said, "But I think you'll be a pretty good coach." So I knew at a young age, 19 years of age, that I wanted to coach. And he helped me do that. Now, Coach Brown was one of those guys. if you were an inch out of place, he was going to tell you about it. He taught you a lot about the game. He was perfectionist. Man, we worked hard, we worked long, um, and it was great to play for. I mean, I was with Coach Brown 5 years, and we went to a Final Four. And as a GA, we won a national championship. So he did amazing things. And then Roy Williams comes in, and here's a guy that's never been a head coach, and he just sets the college basketball world on fire. And he taught me how to work. I knew how to compete as a player, but I didn't know how to compete as a coach. And he taught me how to compete as a coach and treat people the way you want to be treated, and just work hard. I mean, no one outworked Roy Williams in his when he just got after it. You know, the red eyes or whatever he was doing, and he was a terrific coach and an even better person. So yeah, those two. Obviously, I told you at the beginning, I was lucky because I was always surrounded by great people, and I think about what those two have done, and got me kind of where I am today. And it was I was blessed. There's no doubt about it, and thankful. I'm very thankful to have those two guys in my life.
So when October 13th comes around, is that'll be the first time you're in Topeka in quite some time, or have you visited Kansas recently?
I get back. My mom's there and two sisters. I don't get back there enough. My wife and I are finally becoming empty nesters, so I'll start to travel a little bit more. But I am a Chief season ticket holder, so I do get back once or twice a year for games and a playoff game. Sometimes I'm just in and out of Kansas City, but yeah, it's actually gonna be my mom's 80th birthday weekend, so hopefully we'll have a big celebration of my mom for her 80th, and then the on the Hall of Fame banquet, I guess it's called, on the 13th. So it'll be good, just to see a lot of my high school buddies. I was back. God, what were we doing? I can't remember what I was back for. Oh, the Hayden High School put us in their Hall of Fame, our '83 team, and so I was back for that and got to see a lot of my high school buddies, and that was a fun couple days. But I don't get back enough, and I miss it. I miss seeing friends and family.
In Topeka, Kansas, right? Definitely a lot of different names have come through there, and people that have either, now moved here. So what is it about Topeka that, if you had to say anything about the sports here in Topeka, whether it's football, basketball, obviously I know you're basketball based, but what is it about Topeka, Kansas that maybe outshines other communities where there's so many good athletes that come around out of Topeka or just Northeast Kansas itself?
Yeah, it's great to see. I think number one, it's the type of person that Topeka produces. Most of them are pretty humble, raised the right way, good parents, good families, surrounded by great people. I do miss the Hayden community and all the families that I grew up with, and they were such role models for me and my friends growing up. I think my dad needs to get a lot of credit. Bob Turgeon, he started a league called with Phil Riley, Rob Riley's dad, Capital City Youth Basketball League. And at the time, there was only two state championships out of Topeka. And he started this league, ran it for about 17 years, boys and girls. I think I was in the fifth grade when it started. And when I went into the Shawnee County Hall of Fame, I think there was 18 state championships for boys and like 22 for girls or something crazy out of Topeka. So um, there was at a point where my dad started this league, and a lot of people cared about doing it. But it's good high schools, good high school coaches, great competition, and just dedicated athletes for the population. The amount of people that go on and do well in college, it's a tribute to Topeka and the people involved and the families, and just chasing dreams. And so I hope I had a little bit to do with that. Being a role model for kids from that area and wanting to play college basketball or become a coach or whatever. I hope I had a little bit to do with it. But it's a special city, it's a special state, and we miss it, but it's been great for us for sure.
And coach, I'll ask you as well, right? You look at this KU men's basketball team coming up this year, right? The last 2 years have kind of where they've fallen short, and round of 32, the last back-to-back seasons. And when you look at, right, the transfer portal, obviously when you were coaching, there was no such thing as a transfer portal or NIL money, which has obviously changed the whole landscape of college sports the last couple of years. But for you, when you look at this team with Coach Self, right, we know how, the legendary career that Coach Self has had. When you look at this roster that he's built through the portal and the freshmen he's bringing in, what excites you most about the Jayhawks this upcoming year?
Well, I think they have depth this year. Last year they didn't have the depth. And I know Marco's already gotten hurt, and I think he's out for the season. I recruited him a little bit at Maryland. And I think the depth and the quality of the depth and the quality of the player and I guess the experience. I think you look at the best teams are usually the older teams, and I think they're going to have a experienced older team. A lot of kids that have proven themselves at that level. So, and then with the way the season went last year, which was a really great season for a lot of programs, but not for Bill's standard and KU standard. I know they'll be fired up to have a terrific year, and you know, I it's funny when being a former player, you almost expect Bill to have, the number one team every year, and he's been close to that and number one team in the Big 12 or whatever. But he's done a great job. But it should be a fun year. It should be an exciting year. And I was able to get back to the Houston game last year. It might have been the highlight of the season. It was a great game, and it was great to be back in Allen Fieldhouse. Hadn't been there in a long time. So, but always wishing him the best. Try to stay in touch with Bill without being a nuisance as much as I can.
Do you ever give him advice, or do you, something like that? Or do you guys, throw some jabs at each other in good ways, or what's that like when you talk to Coach Self about, just certain things?
No, I think it's more when we do talk, it's about just understanding the way the game's changed and how to view it. And he's such a smart guy, and he really he's always been a little bit ahead of the game when it comes to strategy and recruiting and doing things. So, and he's an excellent coach. He's proved that over a long period of time. So, it's more like we talk about families, how you're doing, and then we kind of get in, and he'll get into certain things. But he doesn't need my help, that's for darn sure. So he doesn't ask for it, and I don't give it to him.
When you have just again the successful career that you've had, again had a lot of different stops, and of course obviously Maryland being your last one, and Katie Marr, who are our other sports anchor, is a Maryland grad, so she knows
Oh,
your
wow.
name very well, and so when you have so many different stops and every team's different, right? All the players are different. Coaches, come and go. What is it about when you go to different places or you have different players? What's the biggest challenge as a coach when there is turnover? I know there's probably even benefits to it too, maybe, because there's so many different things. What are the benefits or maybe the challenges when there is so much change or little change? What's that like as a coach?
Well, I think the most difficult thing is just is moving your family and going to a different part of the country and having to build all new friendships, find a house, find schools for your kids, make sure your kids are happy. There's so many things outside of basketball when you move that make it difficult. And yeah, we did move a lot. We went from Jacksonville State to Wichita State to Texas A&M to Maryland. It's a lot. And one of the reasons I stepped away from basketball when I did is because I didn't want to move again and move my family. It wouldn't have been fair to them. And so, we've been in Maryland going on our 14th year. So, as far as basketball goes, you have to prove yourself again. You could be a really good coach at Wichita State, but then you got to go to Texas A&M and prove yourself, and then you can be successful at A&M. You go to Maryland, you got to prove yourself again, and then just learning all the AAU coaches, all the high school coaches, and everything that comes with that area. Every area is different in the country, but I've been blessed because I've lived almost everywhere. I was an assistant at Oregon. I was with the Philadelphia 76ers, and those stops I just talked about. I feel I can go anywhere in the country and feel comfortable and know people. And we have friends all over the moved around, and wherever we've been, we've made great friends, and we still have those friends, and we can go visit people. So it was just as big a challenge as moving your family as it was the basketball challenge. The basketball part was easy for me, and the coaching part, and I believed, I learned from a lot of great guys, starting with my dad to my high school coach, Coach Meskey, and Larry Brown and Roy Williams. That part was easy. It was just getting the family settled, the move, and all the stuff that came with it. the anxieties that came with that is what made it difficult. But we survived it. Married a great lady and great girl, and now she's a great woman, and we've had a great life together. So couldn't have done it without her. But most of the move stuff was on her, and she was great with that. But it was fun. It was a heck of a journey. We wouldn't trade it, and I'm just glad we were successful enough to last a long time in the business.
Well, coach, you bring up something, one more thing I want to ask you, and relationships. That's a lot of things that are one common thing that I hear with coaches is building those relationships. You said, that you had so many stops over the course of your career and you have so many different people in different spots. Are the relationships the most rewarding part? Obviously, making an impact on the student athletes' lives as well that you've encountered with over your coaching career. I guess what's the most rewarding thing about being a coach?
Yeah, I think that's the great thing about being a college coach. You get a kid when he's 18 years old, he thinks he's a man, but he's not quite. And I usually recruited young people that had good parents, so it made my job a lot easier. But just watching them grow and be successful, and I have a doctor, I have dentists, I have uh, optometrists. I mean, I have every type of thing out there. I have professional players. I think my professional players now are close to $1 billion in earnings, guys that I've coached over the years. So really proud of those guys. Those are the best emails and phone calls that I can get. Besides getting them from my own kids, is from a former player and seeing them be successful, or just like, hey, coach, I really appreciate what you did, and I know you were hard on me, but I didn't understand at the time, but now I understand, and those are good. And just had a big wedding this past weekend in Baltimore with one of my former players, and it's good to be around the guys and just seeing them be successful. So that's the most rewarding part. Winning's fun. You don't keep your job without winning, obviously. But winning with young people and molding them, that's what I miss the most, is just molding a group of kids and making them better. That was fun. It was a heck of a challenge. Every team is different, just like every job's different. But yeah, that was the rewarding part, and making the team better than the sum of its parts. That's something you always look forward to. But now the relationships are great, and we got a lot of them. We're very fortunate, and we've coached a lot of good young men, and been around a lot of good coaches that have gone on and been successful too.
Well, coach, is there anything else that I'm missing from your Hall of Fame induction here soon? Coaching world, anything that I'm missing that you'd like to add?
No, I think you nailed it. I just feel blessed. I was around great people, and you know, the one thing I had was I was born with a competitive gene, and sometimes I wish I wasn't quite so competitive. Got me in trouble sometimes too, but I was just surrounded by great people. I learned that at a young age, and just love the state of Kansas. I'm looking forward to getting home and seeing some familiar faces, and then just going in with a great group of inductees. And there's a lot of Olympians that are going in. I've always been enamored with Olympians, and that was a goal of mine to coach in the Olympics, and I never got there. So to be around Olympians, especially this summer, will be great. Make it an even more special night.
Awesome, coach. I really appreciate the time. Thank you so much.
Okay, thanks, Vinny.